Hey, I'm a Sonic tuber. I make Sonic content, and if you happen to be a viewer of mine who's stuck since the dawn of this channel, you might remember that 4-part Sonic Unleashed vs. Generation video series back when I had maybe 70 subscribers? Spoiler alert, Unleashed 1. Go watch the video. Anyway, I still remember the entire process of editing, scripting, and waking up to see a first 100 views like it was yesterday, but in reality, you know, it's almost been 2 years. God, amazing. Naturally, opinions have changed. Not in the sense that I now think, oh, Generations is now better than Sonic Unleashed. I just don't think I commend their aspects as much as I did before. What I'm saying is that these both suck. Don't get me wrong, I can easily see why Unleashed can be fun, but after replaying the stiff movement, frame rate drops, input delay, and dangerously amount of easy ways to die, it just isn't my type compared to what I'm used to. And don't think I'm done, by the way. In Sonic Generations... Mods! The hell, I didn't even start. Mods! Can you stop? Mods! Say that again?
Before talking about Sonic Generations, you got to use mods.
You can be in an argument giving any valid criticism to a Sonic game, and there'll still be that one guy who just says,
actually in this I modded it, so the issue you're talking about is gone. Do your research.
You don't think SA1 stands up to SA2? Mod. You think Sega should add more life to Sonic's movement? Mod. All of the next Sonic games have a 100% chance to be the epitome of dog feces? Wait, why's anything happening? Mod, shit! So because nobody else is doing it, I brought it down to myself to explain why people who use this argument, matter of fact, do not shower. Firstly, let me clarify that this is a stigma I only see within the Sonic community. So if it seems like I'm making any targeted hate speech, I am. Now, why do people use this argument? And it's actually kind of simple. They don't want to admit their game sucks. It's a bold claim, but think about it. Dedicated fans love Sonic Generations. It panders nostalgia, and naturally, its emotionally attached fanbase wouldn't like it when there's flaws. So when you tweet something like Generations has a decent level but very small amount with poor replayability, you'll get instantly bombarded with 20 stage mods so you can shut up and be convinced the game's good. I'm just using Generations as an example here. This happens a ton with Forces and the adventure games for the exact same reason. Now let me be clear, mods are good. I'm totally fine with as many mods as you want existing. I think they're fun, sick, dare I say, interesting, but when you get to a point where a game's entire quality relies on outside fixes, or as far as some people like to go with it, a literal redesigning, that's where I cross the line. You can just use mods like a band-aid when judging a game. It's not like a DLC where it came from the developers themselves. At the end of the day, mods are unpaid efforts outside of the studio's vision and talents. There's this one absolutely stunning, pure perplexing Sonic Force mods that completely changes the atmosphere and mood, but does that mean the people who've truly made Sonic Forces really own any of that? No, and saying yes would just be pure discrediting. Think of it this way, if I made a Forces mod where Sonic is green, does that modded version become a separate entity, or is it now the original everyone picks up at GameStop developed by Sonic Team? Oh wow, would you look at that, he's blue! And there are people in this fan base so fed up with the reality that Sonic is handled poorly to say the least, they'll do anything to just continue telling you he's green. Fan games too, trying to find an SRB2 video that doesn't use mods as a praising point is like trying to find evidence of the gender pay gap existing. It doesn't. I mean, I'd love Forces to look like this, just as you probably too, but at least I got the screwed on brain to know that I shouldn't overhype products by terrible developers, because telling myself Sonic's in good hands makes me feel warm and cozy. Like, no, being soft is the reason of our problem. Where do you think Sega gets the idea of, oh, Sonic fans don't care, let's just make a bare minimum game every damned year? And meanwhile, the other fan bases who don't live in La La Land get games of such spectacle. That and the meme writers who go,
Or at least Sega's putting something out. Be grateful, guys.
as if I'm supposed to be absolutely flabbergasted they wouldn't use their biggest icon and I'm meant to give them a participation award. I mean, like, Sonic fans, please, for the love of God, stop being afraid to criticize. Nobody cares how much time and budget they use. How they use that time and budget is the problem. Keep them monitored. That is the entire way. I mean, have you seen Sega's TikTok? Half of it, and I mean half of it, is just this of the past month. What is this? Criticism makes improvement. I will say this till the end of my life. Remember Sonic Unleashed? Where did that come from? 06. Where did the Adventure era come from? That era. Where did Force come from? Oh wait, but you get the point. If everyone in the fanbase followed a mindset of Sega should just take their time on a game and simply give us one, then tell me what is really stopping them from taking 5 years, half of it just sitting on their butts and doing nothing, and then when the time ultimately comes, they put the most low-efforted, unimaginative video game. Oh wait, it's already happening! And now the same idiots who already protested for Sega to cut a little 9 to 5 schedule because it's overworking are now slobbering, "Wow, I can't believe this is bad for me." Like, no, if you're so stupid that it didn't cross your mind letting a company with such a horrendous record be completely unsupervised because you're afraid of pressuring, then you deserve what happens. What was this about again? Look, a game should be able to stand on its own. It's just depressing when you fans to mod Sonic simply moving his face when that was his flawless trait in 09. You're looking at a remaster. Let that sink in. Not that sink the hell out. Look, I love Sonic as much as y'all, but you gotta think it through. This mindset ruins Sonic's public image perpetually. It self-sustains. When Sega makes a mediocre Sonic game, we're like, alright, put mods on. But that normalizes lower expectations, which makes it even worse to be made. And then a worse, and then a worse, and then a worse. To a point where if a Sonic game has the worst 3D physics known to man, the fanbase will just be unfazed to fix it. Meaning everybody who plays the game on a console or vanilla has to sit through whatever atrocious mess this fanbase has left for an icon more recognizable than the president. I think you and I can now agree we need to dial back our infinite scapegoat reliance on mods to cope with flawed games. Might as well bring this up, but there's probably a group in here who will use emulation as a soft defense for bad frame rate, and typically in Sonic Unleashed fans. So whip out your right hand, not in the weird sense, and raise it if you think people saying Unleashed has a frame rate problem are wrong. Okay, so listen. Yes, Unleashed runs on 60 FPS on the new hardware, but do you really think the playtesters in 2008 with crazy musty computers and slow Xboxes went 15 years into the future, playtested, came back, that said, needs more pits? What happened is the developers looked at the game, it was frame dropping every 3 feet you moved, and thought, it's okay to publish. You can recognize the issue. Do I need to say that again? You can Oh, last thing, but what makes me roll my eyes so hard is how some people would use mods in argument like it's a trump card. Someone will say, oh, well, I think this terrible game is good, and I'll defend it with my life. Then 5 minutes later go, oh, I meant that if it had mods. And it's just like, what do you mean mods? Changing the game to any way you want infinitely? Because then everything would be perfect if it had mods. What's your point? It's like saying this soup was perfect, it would be perfect. Are you fucking stupid?